and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyaso. Tonight, rumblings in the health sector as federal government issues sack directive to protesting resident doctors. The president approves the appointment of Idris Ibrahim as acting Inspector General of Police. The Senate summons Attorney General of the Federation over alleged forgery charges against its leadership. And Congolese ex-rebel leader Jean-Pierre Bemba jailed for 18 years by International Criminal Court for war crimes. And on business news tonight, Borno State government commences reconstruction of key infrastructure in insurgency-ravaged areas.
And in sports news, Nigeria Football Federation commenced Channels Television for successful hosting of its annual National Kids Cup tournament.
And from Abuja, I'm Yemisi Paye. Presidency lashes out on Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose over allegations linking the president's wife, Aisha Buhari, to U.S. Congressman William Jefferson's bribery scandal.
It appears talks between the federal government and resident doctors have finally collapsed as the Minister of Health has sacked all resident doctors in the federal tertiary health institutions across the country. This follows the commencement of a full-blown industrial action by the doctors over disagreement with the federal government regarding the payment of some allowances. In a statement today, the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, directed the chief medical directors and medical directors of federal government tertiary health institutions to fill the spaces left by the striking resident doctors. The statement adds, quote, "In view of this development, you are hereby directed to replace all the doctors that have withdrawn their services with others from the pool of applicants for the training programs in your facility," end of quote. The minister says the doctors embarked on their action in spite of ongoing negotiations regarding their demands as put forward by the National Association of Resident Doctors, which he says is against public service rules. Now, resident doctors may have made good their threat to embark on the nationwide strike, but the federal government appears to have called their bluff with an order to have them replaced. With this face-off between the federal government and striking doctors, it appears that things are degenerating. But what are the demands of the striking doctors and what's being offered by the federal government's negotiators? In this background report, our correspondent Charles Aruka takes a look at the lingering crisis.
For some time now, resident doctors in the country have been on the warpath over issues of their welfare. The crisis dates as far back as October the 1st, 2013, when after several warning strikes to press home their demands, the National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, declared a nationwide strike. At that time, the resident doctors' demands included payment of the arrears of salaries owed to house officers, inclusion of house officers in the Integrated Payroll Payment System, IPPIS. The doctors went on strike over the non-payment of arrears of salaries of some doctors for over 4 months under the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPPIS. The industrial action was finally called off after about 3 weeks on October the 25th, 2013. The then president of NARD, Dr. Jibril Abdullahi, explained that the strike had been suspended following a meeting between the leadership of the doctors and representatives of the federal government. He said it was agreed that the issues in contention would be looked into and implemented as soon as possible. Apparently, things have not really been sorted out after almost 3 years, and the doctors are back in the trenches. This time around, their grievances include lack of funding for residency training, alleged victimization of NARD members by managements of hospitals. They're also demanding enrollment of members into IPPIS, payment of members' salaries up to date, appropriate placement of members in state and federal tertiary hospitals across the nation, and reversal of the sack of some NARD members in hospitals. It appears the lingering issues have not been addressed to the satisfaction of the doctors. But this time around, government has also decided to adopt strong-arm tactics to deal with the striking doctors. It's now a matter of who will blink first. However, as the saying goes, when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. The grass in this case being the common man who desperately needs the doctor's services. Charles Eruka, for Channels Television News.
In the meantime, we understand that the president of the Resident Doctors Association, Dr. Mohammed Askira, is right now meeting with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, about this issue that we're talking about. We'll keep our eye on that meeting, and when we know more, you will also. Let's move on now. The Ondo State Governor has again appealed to the striking workers in the state to go back to work in the interest of the public and the economy of the state. Dr. Olusegun Mimiko made this appeal while addressing the workers from levels 1 to 17 in the state capital, Akure, as part of the steps towards resolving the 3-week industrial action by the workers. Governor Mimiko was unhappy about the hardship the workers are going through due to the non-payment of their 5-month salary arrears, saying the situation is due to lack of funds. And civil servants at the Federal Ministry of Finance have continued their protest at the headquarters of the ministry in Abuja for a second day. They're kicking against what they described as poor welfare conditions since the assumption of office of the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun. The workers have vowed to shut down activities in the ministry for 5 days if the minister and the permanent secretary do not address their plight. Our correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
Operations here at the Ministry of Finance have been shut down for well over 24 hours now. Hundreds of workers in here have down tools since yesterday, protesting over what they call poor welfare conditions since the arrival of the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun. As a matter of fact, the workers have remained like this, and they say that the building will remain in darkness until the minister physically shows up to address their challenges. The workers have since refused to speak with the press until the minister arrives. The agitation, however, is clear. In spite of their sealed lips, the placards displayed at the gates spoke volumes. Those who spoke under anonymity revealed that the workers are not protesting over any illegal 2.1 billion naira allowance as published by the ministry in a letter. The Director of Information, Mr. Salisu Dambata, says the said payment of the special overtime under dispute was stopped by the last administration in 2014, and so the protest has no justifiable ground. Meanwhile, workers from the Finance Ministry, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, as well as the Budget and National Planning, who teamed up, say the situation will remain unchanged until their grievances are addressed. Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
The Senate has summoned the Attorney General of the Federation to appear before its Committee on Judiciary and Human Rights to justify with evidence his allegations of forgery by the Senate leadership. The motion, which came under matters of urgent national importance, accuses the executive of an attempt to overthrow the legislature. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
Nigerian lawmakers in the Senate have reasoned in defense of the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, and his deputy, Ike Ekweremadu, accused of forging the rules of the upper legislative house which brought them into office.
Be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting.
The issue came up during proceedings of the Senate under matters of urgent national importance. The motion was considered after a closed-door session which lasted over 2 hours. The lawmakers say they are appalled that the same rules of the Senate was used in the administration of its proceedings during the ministerial confirmation process, which brought the Attorney General to office, as well as other top government officials.
The Senate notes with regrets the defiant act of the Attorney General of the Federation and his office of contemptuously disregarding a binding decision of the Federal High Court without a pending appeal by the police and the Attorney General on the same matter in which the Federal High Court had decided.
The motion enjoyed the support of the lawmakers present at the day's plenary.
What is happening is judicial corruption or institutional corruption, which we are not going to condone.
And after the contributions from the senators, the Deputy Senate President reads out the resolution of the upper legislative chamber.
mandate the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Legal Matters and Human Rights to, within 2 days, summon the AGF, Attorney General of the Federation, to explain and justify with evidence the basis for his action and why it does not constitute gross misconduct, incompetence, contempt of court, and abuse of office. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Aye. Those against saying nay, the ayes have it.
A similar motion was considered in the House of Representatives. Coming as a motion of urgent national importance, the motion accused the executive of attempting to cripple the National Assembly by filing charges against the presiding officers of the Senate.
Recall that the Federal High Court in Abuja issued a ruling on the 27th July 2015, another one on the 4th of August 2015, to the effect that even the allegation of forgery of the standing order is an internal affair of the National Assembly, which should not be pried into by the Inspector General of Police or the Attorney General of the Federation, or even the judiciary.
Without a debate, the motion was put to a vote.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
The House has urged the executive to desist from taking steps that will cripple the National Assembly, including prosecution of the presiding officers of the Senate over alleged forgery of the Senate rules. The Attorney General has been ordered to appear before the Senate Committee on Judiciary and Human Rights not later than Thursday. Many Nigerians will be watching to see how events surrounding the alleged forgery of the rules of the Senate will unfold. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
There's been a change of guard at the Police High Command as the President today approved the appointment of a new Inspector General of Police in acting capacity, Mr. Idris Ibrahim. Mr. Ibrahim takes over from Mr. Solomon Arase, who retires from the police force today. Until Mr. Ibrahim's appointment, he served as the AIG in charge of federal operations at the force headquarters, Abuja.
I want to seize this opportunity to thank Nigerians for the cooperation that you have given to me while I served as the Inspector General of Police. By extension, I want to also appeal to you to give the same support that you gave to me to my, successor. He's a younger man, so I'm sure that he will be abreast with the contemporary policing issues.
As I just said, my name is Ibrahim Idris. Obviously, under our collective leadership, the Nigerian Police Force is going to be governed by internationally recognized core values of policing everywhere in the world. That is the issue of integrity and accountability, issue of respect for diversity, issue of compassion, issues of ensuring that our streets, our neighborhoods, our communities remain safe. And we are going to do everything possible to ensure that we provide the best service for this country.
In part two, after the break, Code of Conduct Tribunal fixes July the 13th for ruling on an application asking its chairman, Danladi Umar, to disqualify himself. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.